2 years ago, my daughter threw me out like trash with only $10 in my pocket. She told me I was a failure and never to come back. Now she's calling, begging to move into my new mansion in Dallas. But this isn't about family love. This is about my money. I decided to teach her the lesson of a lifetime. Before we start, please hit that subscribe button for nasty revenge and tell us where you're watching from. The phone rang that cold Tuesday night like a warning. I put down my expensive wine glass and looked at the bright screen. Sarah, after 2 whole years of silence, she was finally calling me. Thunder crashed outside my huge windows in my Highland Park mansion. The city lights looked like diamonds scattered across the darkness. I was checking my business papers when the call came. My solid oak desk reflected the warm light from my fancy lamp. Documents covered the surface like a map of my success. I let the phone ring 3 times before I answered it. Hello, Sarah. Daddy. Her voice sounded sweet like honey, but I knew it was fake. I've missed you terribly. I want to invite you for Sunday dinner at our place. My fingers touched an old family photo hidden under my business files. 3 happy faces from a time that felt like a dream. I flipped it upside down. Sunday dinner. The words tasted sour in my mouth. How nice of you. We could talk and maybe start over fresh. Her voice shook a little, like she was acting in a play. I know things have been hard. Hard. I leaned back in my leather chair and put my feet on the desk. 2 years ago, you threw me out with $10. Seems like your memory has some big holes in it. Quiet filled the space between us, except for the thunder outside. I could hear her breathing fast and scared. I don't know what you're talking about, Daddy. I just thought, of course you don't remember. The lie was so obvious, it almost made me laugh. Everyone in our old neighborhood knew about my success. Property records are public information. My journey from homeless man to millionaire wasn't exactly a secret. Tell me, what's the real reason for this sudden family dinner? Her voice got smaller and more desperate. Can a daughter just want to see her father? I picked up my wine glass, swirling the golden liquid, the weight of real crystal, the taste of expensive wine. These were things I could only dream about 2 years ago. Sunday evening, I guess at the old house. Yes, 5 o'clock. Mom's making that pot, roast you used to love. Your mother. I paused, letting the words hang in the air. Still playing house with Rick. I assume they got married last month, she said quietly. Congratulations to the happy couple. My voice stayed calm and controlled like a businessman. I'll be there. Really? The relief in her voice was pathetic. Oh, Daddy, that's wonderful. I said I'll be there. This should be very interesting for everyone. I hung up without waiting for her to say goodbye. The satisfying click echoed in the sudden quiet. The city lights blurred through the rain as memories I'd buried deep began clawing their way back to the surface. I stood up from my chair, my body aching slightly. The wine burned as I finished a glass, then walked through my house like a king surveying his kingdom. Each room showed my transformation from broke loser to successful millionaire, from the marble entrance to the gourmet kitchen with its restaurant-quality equipment. But Sarah's call had opened something inside me. Memory pieces spilled through like water through a broken dam. The living room hit me first. Soft leather couch, cashmere blankets, view of perfectly trimmed gardens. So different from that hot summer day in 2023 when I walked into our tiny Dallas apartment and found my life destroyed. Suitcases by the front door, Linda on the couch next to a man I'd never seen before. Tall, gray-haired as temples, sitting in MY spot like he owned it. Rick's moving in. She'd announced without looking up from her phone. You need to get out. No warning, no explanation. 25 years of marriage ended with the same tone she'd used to dismiss a door-to-door salesman. I walked through my current kitchen, running my fingers across marble countertops. The difference was like night and day. Then versus now. That day, dirty dishes filled our old sink. Today, my kitchen was spotless, like something from a magazine. Sarah come out her bedroom, bags over her shoulder like she was going on vacation. But her eyes held something I'd never seen before. Cold calculation. You're a loser, Dad, she said, voice steady as a judge passing sentence. Mom's right. You don't belong here anymore. The $10 bill she pressed into my hand was crisp and new, probably fresh from the ATM. For gas. She explained as if the gesture was kindness rather than an insult. The memory followed me upstairs to my master bedroom. Silk curtains, king-size bed with Egyptian cotton sheets, reading chair positioned perfectly to catch morning light from the garden. Everything chosen carefully and expensively. The Motel 6 room had smelled of cheap cleaning products and broken dreams. Thin walls, thinner mattress. The constant noise of highway traffic just beyond cracked parking lot concrete. I had paid for a week up front. Cheaper that way, the desk clerk had explained, counting my crumpled bills twice. Instant noodles for dinner, instant coffee for breakfast. The kind of life I thought was permanently behind me after decades of steady work, careful saving, building what I believed was an unshakable foundation. On my nightstand sat a silver-framed photograph, the last family portrait before everything collapsed. Sarah at 24, still playing the loving daughter role. Linda with her perfect smile, already planning my destruction. And me, clueless as a sheep walking to slaughter. Those first weeks had been the hardest. Construction cleanup jobs, restaurant dishwashing, anything that paid cash and didn't require references. My hands had grown rough again, shoulders aching from labor I hadn't done since my 20s. But somewhere in that chemical-scented room, between the shame and the anger, something else had taken root. Determination, the kind that grows best in darkness. I touched the photograph's cool surface. The family in the silver frame smiled back at me. Strangers from another life. Tomorrow would remind them exactly how far I'd traveled from that broken man with $10. Morning light streamed through my bedroom windows, turning the garden into liquid gold. 6:30 a.m., and I was already awake. Old habits from construction days, though now I woke to Italian espresso instead of instant coffee desperation. The kitchen welcomed me with the soft hum of expensive appliances. I ground fresh beans, the rich smell filling the space like incense in a cathedral of my own making. While the machine worked its magic, I opened the Dallas Morning News and checked overnight market movements. Strange how routine could mask revolution. 2 years ago, I'd been scanning classified ads for day labor. Now, I was calculating dividend yields on a 7-figure portfolio. September 2023, $12,000 from the divorce settlement, my share of what Linda had called worthless junk. The condemned house in Oak Cliff had looked like urban decay made real. Broken windows, sagging porch, foundation problems that scare away every other buyer. But I'd seen potential where others saw problems. My office files held the proof of that first gamble. The purchase contract, framed now like a diploma, showed the sale price $38,000. For months of 16-hour renovation days, learning plumbing and electrical work through YouTube videos and library books. January closing, sold for $62,000 profit. My first real victory. The portfolio folder held the rest of the story. Property after property, each purchase more ambitious than the last. Fall 2023 became spring 2024, became summer success. Every profit reinvested, every lesson learned and applied. The turning point had come in November. A foreclosure in uptown Dallas. Owner defaulted on renovation loans. Bank desperate to sell. I'd walked through the half-finished shell and seen what others missed. Premium location. Solid bones. Work already started. $180,000 purchase price. 7 months of careful restoration. For $110,000 sale price. That profit had changed everything. I sipped my espresso, rich and complex. Nothing like the bitter gas station coffee that had sustained me through those early months. The bank statement in my desk drawer showed the current total $9.7 million net worth that would make Linda choke on her morning smoothie. My phone showed missed calls from yesterday evening. Real estate agents with new opportunities. Contractors bidding on projects. Investors wanting partnerships. The kind of problems successful people faced. Every nail I'd hammered, every tile I'd laid, every sleepless night spent planning the next move. All of it had led here to this kitchen, this view, this moment of quiet triumph before the storm. The photo collage on my refrigerator told the visual story. Before and after shots of each property, newspaper clippings about neighborhood improvement, award letters from the Dallas Real Estate Board, evidence of resurrection. Sunday's dinner invitation wasn't random. Sarah was drowning, probably Linda too, and they needed a life preserver. The $10 gift giver was ready to discuss terms. I finished my coffee and moved to the office, settling into my chair with the satisfaction of a general surveying a battlefield. Property listings waited on my computer screen. Investment opportunities that would have been impossible dreams just months ago. The morning stretched ahead, full of possibilities. For the first time in years, I controlled every single one. Then my phone rang again. 36 hours passed before the second call came. I'd spent Friday morning reviewing acquisition contracts. Fresh coffee steaming beside financial projections that would have seemed impossible 3 years ago. The April rain drummed steadily against my office windows, creating the perfect soundtrack for business. My phone buzzed. Linda's name appeared on the screen, like a ghost from another lifetime. I removed my reading glasses slowly, set them beside the contract I'd been reviewing. Let it ring 4 times before answering. "Hello, Linda." "Harold." Her voice carried that same fake sweetness she perfected during our marriage. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. You never worried about that before." I leaned back in my leather chair, pen ready over a notepad. "What do you need?" "It's about Sarah." The rehearsed shake in her voice was almost artistic. "She's facing an unexpected financial crisis." And I thought, well, as her father, background noise filtered through the connection. Papers rustling, whispered urgency I couldn't quite make out. "What kind of crisis?" I kept my voice neutral, professional. The same tone I'd use with a contractor trying to inflate estimates. "Poor business decisions. The creditors are threatening legal action." Her breathing got faster. "I wouldn't ask if it wasn't an emergency. She could lose everything." "Tell him about the debt problems" came clearly through the phone. Sarah's voice sharp with anxiety. Linda's pause lasted exactly 4 seconds. "I mean, the situation is quite serious." "How serious?" I wrote performance on my notepad, circled it twice. Just 40,000 would solve the immediate crisis. The number fell out too quickly, too practiced. "I know it's a lot, but..." "Ask for more, Mom." Sarah's coaching carried perfectly through whatever cheap speakerphone they were using. The silence that followed could have cut glass. "I see." I set down my pen, amazed at how transparent desperation made people. "And what makes you think I have that kind of money lying around?" "Well," Linda's voice cracked like thin ice. "People talk, about your success. People talk about many things." I turned my chair toward the window, watching rain streak down glass that probably cost more than their monthly rent. Not all of it accurate. "Harold, please." "She's your daughter." My daughter threw me out with $10 and called me a failure. The words came out calm, measured, factual. Now she needs 40,000 from a failure. That was different. She was upset. She was honest. I picked up my coffee cup, savored the rich warmth. Brutally, refreshingly honest. "But you're her father. Family means not 1 cent. The finality in my voice surprised even me. "Ever. You can't be serious." I ended the call mid-sentence and set the phone aside. The rain continued its steady drumming against my windows, washing the city clean while leaving the important things untouched. Exactly what I'd expected. Exactly what I'd hoped. I sat back in my chair for exactly 40 seconds, then reached for my personal cell phone. Time for a little test of my own. Saturday morning brought crisp sunlight to my office windows, transforming the garden into hammered silver. I'd spent the previous evening planning my approach, and now sat with fresh coffee, phone recording app ready, prepared to confirm what I already suspected. The call to Sarah would settle everything. I practiced my defeated tone 3 times, then dialed her number. She answered on the first ring, voice bright with expectation. "Dad, I was hoping you'd call." "Sarah, sweetheart." I injected just enough shake to sound real. "I have terrible news about my investments." "What kind of news?" Her eagerness dimmed noticeably. The market took a terrible turn yesterday. I've lost almost everything. The lie came easier than expected. Property values collapsed. Leverage positions called IN. It's a disaster. Silence stretched between us like a canyon opening. How much is everything? She asked carefully. I'm meeting with bankruptcy lawyers next week. I paused for effect, staring at my actual bank statement showing 8 figures. The foreclosure notices start arriving Monday. Foreclosure notices? Her voice had gone flat, calculating. But you said you were doing well. I thought I was. Turns out I was over-leveraged, too confident. I allowed genuine sadness to creep in, not for lost money, but for what I was about to discover. I'm so sorry this affects our Sunday plans. The pause that followed lasted exactly 15 seconds. I counted. What does this mean exactly? Sarah's tone had shifted completely. No sympathy, no comfort. Pure math. How much is left? Maybe enough for a small apartment, if I'm lucky. I closed my eyes, bracing for impact. I know this changes everything for you. What? Seriously? The mask slipped entirely now. Then don't come to dinner Sunday. No hesitation. No, we'll figure out together. Or money doesn't matter. Just cold dismissal. Swift as a knife between ribs. I understand completely. My voice stayed steady through pure force of will. This changes everything for you. I mean, what's the point if you can't? She caught herself, but too late. I'm sorry, Dad, but this is really complicated timing. Thank you for being so direct about your feelings. It's not about feelings, it's about... Goodbye, Sarah. I ended the call and sat motionless for a full minute, staring at the phone. 25 years of fatherhood reduced to a transaction, and when the money disappeared, so did the daughter. The recording had captured everything. Her voice, her priorities, her complete lack of concern for my supposed devastation. Perfect evidence of what I'd already known, but needed confirmed. I saved the file with today's date and opened my laptop. Time to learn exactly what my family had been hiding from me. The weekend disappeared into research and planning. By Monday morning, I compiled enough surface information to know I needed professional help. Sarah's failed business venture showed dozens of customer complaints across multiple platforms. Linda's social media medical fundraising looked increasingly suspicious under scrutiny. Marcus Thompson's downtown office occupied the 20th floor of a glass tower overlooking the Trinity River. Former FBI, according to credentials, now specializing in financial fraud investigations. Exactly what I needed. Mr. Voss. Thompson was younger than expected, mid-40s with sharp eyes and a firm handshake. You mentioned needing background verification on 2 individuals. I settled into the client chair, noting the diplomas and awards covering his walls. Professional competence radiated from every surface. My daughter and ex-wife have approached me for significant financial assistance. I kept my tone businesslike. Factual. I need complete background checks before making any decisions. Standard due diligence. Thompson opened a fresh file folder. What specific areas concern you? Any legal vulnerabilities, fraudulent activities, or misrepresented circumstances? I slid across the basic information sheets I prepared. Discretion is essential. They cannot know about this investigation. Thompson reviewed the documents thoroughly. 1 week for comprehensive reports. My fee is $4,000. Expenses included. Acceptable. I wrote the check immediately. How detailed will your findings be? Everything legally obtainable. Public records, court filings, business registrations, customer complaints, social media analysis. He tucked the check into the folder. If there's deception involved, I'll find IT. Wednesday brought the preliminary report. Thompson's voice carried no judgment, just facts delivered with professional precision. Your daughter operated an online store called Dream Home Decor from February through November 2024. He slid documentation across his desk. She collected approximately $130,000 from customers and delivered virtually nothing. The evidence was damning. Screenshots of fake product listings, customer complaint compilations, payment records, showing money collected but no fulfillment. Sarah had run a systematic fraud operation. Multiple customers are considering legal action. Thompson continued, but they lack organization. No formal charges filed yet. What about my ex-wife? More interesting. Thompson opened a second folder. She's raised significant money through social media medical fundraising, claiming various illnesses. Medical records show no serious health issues whatsoever. Friday's final meeting completed the picture. Thompson's comprehensive file revealed the full scope of their deceptions, tax implications for unreported income, potential criminal charges for fraud, a web of lies that went deeper than I'd imagined. Your ex-wife's unreported donation income could trigger federal tax investigations. Thompson explained, your daughter faces potential felony charges if customers organize properly. I studied the thick folders, amazed how thoroughly they constructed their house of cards. Both women living on borrowed time, borrowed money, borrowed credibility. Excellent work. I stood to leave, folders tucked securely under my arm. Send your final invoice to my business address. The drive home took exactly 28 minutes. Time enough to process what I'd learned, to appreciate the scope of possibilities now available. They'd handed me every weapon I needed for perfect legal revenge. Back in my office, I spread the evidence across my oak desk like battle plans. Customer contact information, documentation of fraud, proof of tax evasion, everything necessary to orchestrate their complete downfall. I closed the thick folder and reached for my phone. Time to start making some very interesting phone calls to very frustrated people. Thursday evening brought the satisfying weight of complete information. Marcus Thompson's files cover my oak desk like battle plans. Customer complaint lists, medical records, fraud documentation. 2 years of systematic deception laid bare in black and white. I arranged the evidence in neat stacks, savoring the irony. They'd built their house of cards so carefully, never imagining someone might document every lie, every theft, every fake tear shed for false sympathy. Time for the performance of a lifetime. Sarah answered on the first ring, voice tight with barely contained anxiety. Dad. Sarah, sweetheart. I injected just enough excitement to sound real. You won't believe what happened. That emergency deal I mentioned came through. Wait, what emergency deal? I thought you lost everything. Market volatility, you know. One day you're down, the next you're up. I flipped through her fraud files while speaking, studying photographs of products that never existed. I not only recovered everything, but made an additional $2.5 million in the process. The silence that followed lasted exactly 10 seconds. I could practically hear the gears shifting in her head. Oh my goodness. Her voice transformed completely. Desperation replaced by calculated sweetness. That's incredible. I'm so happy for you. I suppose that Sunday dinner invitation is back on the table. About Sunday. She paused, gathering her courage. I was hoping we could still have that family dinner. I've missed you so much, and I think it would be wonderful for us to reconnect as a family. The same voice that had coldly dismissed me 24 hours earlier now dripped with artificial warmth. Textbook manipulation exactly as predicted. Of course, sweetheart, family comes first. I turned to Linda's medical records, noting the complete absence of any serious illness. Though I have to ask, how are you doing financially? You seemed concerned about something earlier. Well, she drew out the word preparing her pitch. I hate to even mention this, but I've been having some business difficulties. Nothing serious, just cash flow problems. What kind of problems? Customer complaints mostly. Some people are claiming they never received their orders, but I'm sure it's just shipping delays. The lie came so naturally. I almost admired the skill. If you could spare just $150,000, it would solve everything. Give me time to sort out these misunderstandings. $150,000? Quite specific for someone with mere cash flow problems. That's a considerable amount. I said thoughtfully, let me think about how best to help my daughter. Really? You consider IT? The relief in her voice was obvious. Dad, you have no idea how much this means to me. We'll discuss it properly on Sunday. I'll need to move some funds around, but family is family. Thank you. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you. I ended the call and leaned back in my chair, studying the evidence spread before me. $130,000 stolen from customers. Dozens of people she'd cheated, ignored, dismissed as unimportant. Yet she'd asked me for $150,000 without hesitation. The daughter I'd raised had become a stranger capable of systematic fraud. The test call had confirmed my worst fears, while simultaneously providing perfect justification for what came next. I ended the call and reached for the business card Marcus Thompson had included with the file. Time to introduce some very frustrated people to the concept of justice. Friday morning found me in David Chen's downtown office. Complete evidence files spread across his conference table like pieces of a complex puzzle. Rain streaked the windows 30 floors above the Trinity River, creating the perfect backdrop for planning legal warfare. This is solid evidence. Harold. Chen reviewed the fraud documentation with professional detachment. She's clearly committed intentional fraud, not mere business incompetence. I'd known Chun for 12 years. Golf games, barbecues, the kind of friendship that survives divorce and career changes. He understood both my legal needs and emotional investment in this case. How quickly can we move once the papers are served? The timing you're requesting is aggressive, but entirely legal. He organized customer complaints into chronological order. Process server can be there at 6:45 Sunday evening. That gives you time to arrive first. Perfect. I want her to understand that actions have consequences. Are you certain about this approach? Once we start, there's no going back. Chen's concern was genuine, professional. Your daughter will face serious financial and possibly criminal consequences. She chose this path when she decided to steal from innocent people. The afternoon dissolved into systematic phone calls. Marcus Thompson's contact list provided names, numbers, and loss amounts for 27 defrauded customers. Each conversation followed the same pattern. Initial doubt, growing excitement, eager participation in collective legal action. Maria Santos, a 36-year-old nurse from Fort Worth, emerged as a natural spokesperson for the group. Her voice carried the controlled anger of someone who'd been professionally polite for too long. We've been trying to find her for months. She explained during our third conversation. For $1,000 for a bedroom set that never existed. I saved for 6 months for that furniture. You won't be alone anymore. I assured her. Professional legal representation. Share costs, maximum impact. You're serious about helping U.S.? What's your connection to Sarah Voss? I'm a concerned citizen with access to her current location and substantial evidence of systematic fraud. By evening, Chen's team had worked overtime preparing comprehensive lawsuit documentation. The conference room buzzed with focused energy, paralegals organizing evidence, associates researching precedents, everyone understanding the importance of perfect legal execution. Process server confirmed for Sunday evening. Chen announced, reviewing the final timeline. Private residence, multiple witnesses present. This will be memorable. Saturday morning brought final coordination calls. Robert Kim, our process server, had 15 years' experience with difficult situations. His calm professionalism promised flawless execution. Family dinner setting means emotional witnesses. He explained, perfect for psychological impact, assuming that's your goal. Psychological impact is exactly the goal. Service will be thorough, professional, and completely legal. She'll have no grounds for procedural appeals. The legal machinery was in motion. 27 victims would finally see justice, backed by solid evidence and proper representation. Sarah's house of cards would collapse in front of the family that had enabled her fraud through willful ignorance. I reviewed the coordinated attack timeline one final time. Legal papers for Sarah at 6:45. Maximum family impact. No escape routes. No legal technicalities. No mercy for systematic theft disguised as business failure. I left Chen's office with legal justice in motion and reached for my phone again. Time to ensure Linda faced her own reckoning through different channels. Saturday afternoon demanded precision timing. The legal assault on Sarah was locked and loaded, but Linda required a different approach. Medical fraud deserved public exposure. Tax evasion warranted federal investigation. I arranged to meet Jennifer Walsh at a neutral downtown coffee shop. The Dallas Observer's investigative reporter specialized in social media fraud. Perfect credentials for dismantling Instagram influencer scams. I have documented evidence of systematic fraud by a major Dallas area social media, INFLENCR. I began sliding the manila envelope across a small table. Jennifer's professional doubt was immediate. Anonymous sources require exceptional verification. What kind of fraud? She's collected over $170,000 in donations for a fake medical condition. I watched her expression shift from doubt to sharp interest. The medical records prove she's never had the illness she's been claiming. She opened the envelope carefully, scanning Marcus Thompson's documentation with practiced efficiency. Medical records, social media analytics, income estimates, everything needed for a devastating expose. These are serious allegations requiring substantial fact-checking. Her voice carried the controlled excitement of a journalist sensing major story potential. Social media influencer fraud is becoming epidemic, but this level of medical deception is particularly serious. This isn't revenge journalism. I assured her. This is public service, protecting future victims from sophisticated medical manipulation. If this checks out, we can publish online within hours. The tax implications alone will trigger federal investigation. While Jennifer began her verification process, I contacted the IRS tip line. Michael Park, a Dallas office tax fraud investigator, specialized in social media income tax evasion cases. I'm reporting systematic tax evasion by an individual with substantial unreported social media income. I explained, providing Linda's details and evidence summary. What's your relationship to the subject? How did you obtain this information? I'm a concerned citizen with access to publicly available information and legitimate financial records obtained through legal investigation. We'll need documented evidence of income sources and tax filing discrepancies. Can you provide specific dollar amounts and time periods? Complete documentation is being sent to your office today. Estimated unreported income exceeds $170,000 over 15 months. The coordination was flawless. Jennifer would publish her expose online at 7 o'clock, precisely during our family dinner. The IRS investigation would begin Monday morning with formal audit proceedings. Linda's reputation would crumble while she sat at her own dinner table, probably checking social media for validation she'd never receive again. Social media will likely shut down her account once this goes viral. Jennifer noted during our final coordination call. That's actually perfect timing. Maximum impact, minimum recovery time. The tax investigation will take months, but the reputation damage is immediate and permanent. Justice comes in many forms. Sometimes social consequences are more effective than legal ones. By 5:30, both attacks were coordinated and ready. Legal papers for Sarah at 6:45. Media destruction for Linda at 7 o'clock. A perfect storm of consequences for 2 years of systematic deception and family betrayal. I closed my laptop and checked my watch. In 1 hour, justice would finally be served alongside dinner. The 40-minute drive to their apartment gave me time to savor the approaching moment. April evening traffic flowed smoothly, as if the universe itself was coordinating my arrival. I pulled into the familiar parking lot at exactly 6 o'clock, punctuality being crucial for what came next. The apartment building looked smaller than I remembered. Warm light spilled from their second-floor windows, creating an illusion of domestic peace that would soon shatter like cheap glass. I carried an elegant gift box, empty but perfectly wrapped for psychological effect. Every detail mattered in the performance I was about to deliver. Harold. Linda opened the door with theatrical enthusiasm, jewelry glinting from recent donation purchases. You look wonderful. Success really suits you. It's good to be back in this place. I replied, stepping into the small entrance where I'd once been handed $10 and my walking papers. Brings back so many memories. The dining room table was set for 4, candles flickering over Linda's second-best china. Sarah emerged from the kitchen, nervously smoothing her dress, clearly chosen to project success she didn't possess. Dad, her embrace felt calculated, practiced. I'm so glad you could make it despite everything that happened recently. Water under the bridge. Sweetheart. I placed the gift box prominently on the side table. I brought a special surprise for everyone. But good things come to those who wait. Carlos nodded from his spot near the TV, uncomfortable in fancy clothes, but trying to play the supportive husband. His discomfort was obvious. The man clearly felt undercurrents he couldn't name. Dinner conversation flowed with fake pleasantries. Maria played perfect hostess, while Emma built courage for her money pitch. I checked my watch secretly. 7:10. 5 minutes until the first surprise arrived. We were thinking. Emma began right on schedule. Since you've been so successful with business, maybe we could talk about a family partnership. Family is everything, Maria added, reaching across to squeeze my hand. We should always be there for each other. Absolutely. I agreed, watching the second hand move towards 7:15. Success looks good on you too, Emma. You look like someone who's really got life figured out. The irony was delicious. Here she sat, talking about investment opportunities while hiding from cheated customers, planning to ask for money from the father she'd thrown away like garbage. It's not really a loan, Emma continued, warming to her practice pitch. More like a partnership between father and daughter. $130,000 would solve some immediate cash problems and set us up for amazing returns. $130,000? I repeated thoughtfully. That's quite specific. The doorbell rang at exactly 7:15. Emma froze mid-sentence, confusion flickering across her face. Were we expecting someone? How unexpected, I said, barely hiding my satisfaction. What perfect timing. She stood up slowly, clearly annoyed by the interruption to her carefully planned presentation. Through the dining room doorway, I watched her open the front door to a professional-looking man in a business suit. Emma Rodriguez, I have legal documents for you from the Miami-Dade County Superior Court. The color drained from her face instantly. What? There must be some mistake. You're being served with a class action lawsuit regarding fraudulent business practices and customer deception. Please sign here acknowledging receipt. This is ridiculous. Maria called from the dining room. We're having a family dinner here. But I could see Emma's hands shaking as she fumbled with the legal papers. Reality crashing through her carefully built fake life, like a wrecking ball through tissue paper. Ma'am, this is regarding the Beach Dreams Boutique online store and multiple counts of intentional fraud. The process server's professional calm contrasted sharply with the chaos now erupting in what had been a peaceful family gathering. Emma stumbled back toward the dining room, papers rustling in her trembling fingers. Maria was already reaching for her phone, confident she could solve anything with the right connections. She had no idea her own punishment was loading on her screen. With your money, Roberto, we can hire the best lawyers in Miami. Maria's voice carried the confident authority of someone used to manipulating her way out of problems. This is just a misunderstanding that money can solve. I stayed seated, watching the scene unfold with the satisfaction of a conductor directing a symphony. Emma clutched the legal documents, her face pale as she began understanding the scope of her troubles. I know a lawyer through Instagram who specializes in these situations, Maria continued, already scrolling through her phone contacts. A few smart calls will clear everything up. How many customers are listed here? Emma's voice cracked as she scanned the lawsuit details. 120,000? I don't have that kind of money. We stick together as family, Maria declared, still confident in her ability to orchestrate solutions. That's what families do. She opened Instagram to contact her legal connections, but her expression shifted immediately from confidence to confusion. The screen was flooded with notifications, thousands of angry comments, and messages appearing faster than she could process them. What? Why are there thousands of comments calling me a fraud? Her voice got smaller with each word as she scrolled through the digital avalanche. Someone posted an article. Local influencers' fake illness exposed. I checked my watch. 7:35. Jennifer Lopez's article had published exactly on schedule. They have my medical records. Maria's panic was building as she read her phone screen. How is that possible? These people are saying I stole money from cancer patients. Carlos moved closer, reading over her shoulder. Maria, what illness? What are these people talking about? It's lies. All lies. But her voice lacked conviction as she frantically tried to delete comments that appeared faster Then she could remove them. Roberto, you have to help US. Use your money to make this go away. Make it go away? I finally spoke, my voice calm as a lake surface. Justice doesn't disappear because you're uncomfortable with IT. Emma looked up from her legal papers, finally understanding the coordination. Dad, did you know about this? I find it fascinating how quickly family loyalty appears when legal consequences arrive. I stood slowly, straightening my jacket. The timing is remarkable, isn't it? First, your legal troubles. Now, this article about your mother's medical fraud. Medical fraud? Carlos's voice carried genuine shock as pieces fell into place. Maria, you've been lying about being sick. Her Instagram account was imploding in real time. Screenshots of the Miami Times article spread across multiple platforms, amplifying the scandal exponentially. Comments ranged from disappointed followers demanding refunds to angry donors threatening legal action. This is coordinated, Maria whispered, the full scope of her destruction becoming clear. Someone planned this. I already gave you both my surprise, I said, moving toward the door as chaos reached its peak. It's called accountability. You can't just leave us like this. Emma's desperation was complete now. Both women, realizing their last hope for salvation, was walking away. We're family. I paused at the doorway, savoring the moment I'd waited 2 years to deliver. 2 years ago, you threw me out with $10 and called me worthless. My voice carried the weight of every humiliation, every sleepless night in that chemical-smelling motel, every moment of grinding poverty you dismissed. Tonight, you learned what that was really worth. The door closed behind me with the finality of justice served cold and complete. Through the window, I could see both women staring at their phones, watching their carefully constructed lives collapse in real time, while Carlos backed away from the wreckage of his marriage. For months later, I stood on a Malibu beach, watching the sun melt into the Pacific Ocean. The warm sand under my feet felt like the opposite of everything that cheap motel had represented. Poverty, humiliation, desperation replaced by choice, abundance, and peace. Santos had called that morning with the final legal updates. His voice carried satisfaction when he delivered the court's decision. Emma received the maximum civil judgment he'd reported, $125,000 in payback plus court costs. The judge was particularly harsh about the organized nature of her fraud. And the criminal charges? Felony fraud, conviction, 3 years probation, community service, and permanent criminal record. Any future employer will see those charges. The legal machinery had ground forward with unstoppable precision. 29 victims received full compensation, while Emma faced a decade of minimum wage jobs and garnished paychecks. Justice delivered through proper channels. Exactly as I planned. Maria's destruction had been equally thorough, but more public. Jennifer Lopez's article triggered an avalanche of investigative journalism. Every donation, every fake medical claim, every tax discrepancy exposed for public consumption. Her Instagram account was permanently banned. Her influencer career destroyed overnight. The IRS audit revealed $160,000 in unreported income. Penalties and back taxes consumed every asset she'd accumulated through deception. She now worked commercial cleaning jobs while living in a studio apartment, her glamorous lifestyle replaced by harsh economic reality. Carlos had filed for divorce in June, protecting his business assets while distancing himself from his wife's criminal behavior. Even passive helpers face consequences when fraud reached sufficient scale. My phone buzzed with real estate alert. Another property opportunity in downtown Miami. Another chance to build legitimate wealth through actual skill rather than manipulation. I'd expanded my portfolio systematically. Each success built on honest evaluation and hard work. You seem so peaceful here, said Isabella, the doctor I'd met during my Yellowstone trip last month. She was intelligent, successful, honest, everything my previous family relationships had lacked. Like you let go of something heavy. I learned that some people earn their place in your life. I replied, watching waves erase footprints in the sand. Others simply take up space until you realize their true value. 3 years ago, I'd measured my worth by their approval. Now I understood that real value came from character, integrity, and the courage to demand justice when betrayed. The $10 they'd handed me was an insult. It was an accurate assessment of what they thought family loyalty was worth, but they had miscalculated everything else. The vacation rental behind us represented choice rather than necessity. The investment portfolio generated passive income that would compound for decades. The relationships I'd built were based on mutual respect rather than manipulation or need. Sometimes I wondered if Emma had learned anything from her consequences. Court-ordered community service at a homeless shelter might teach her what real hardship looked like. Perhaps watching actual struggling families would provide perspective on the customers she defrauded. Maria would probably never change. Narcissists rarely developed insight from consequences, but at least her ability to harm others was permanently diminished. Public exposure had destroyed her platform and credibility. The sun disappeared into the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Tomorrow I'd fly home to Miami, where new opportunities waited alongside the satisfaction of justice achieved through patience and proper channels. 2 years ago, they'd left me with $10 and called me worthless. Today, I understood my true value had nothing to do with their opinions and everything to do with my character. The warm ocean breeze carried the scent of salt and freedom, washing away the last traces of bitterness I'd carried for so long. Justice had been served, debts had been paid, and the future stretched ahead bright with possibility. I pulled out my phone and deleted their contact information. Some chapters in life deserved to stay closed. Forever. Standing there on that perfect beach, watching the endless ocean, I finally understood what true wealth really meant. It wasn't just the money in my bank account or the properties in my portfolio. True wealth was the freedom to choose who deserved a place in your life, the power to demand respect, and the strength to walk away from people who couldn't see your worth. The $10 lesson had cost them everything, and it had given me back myself. That was a trade I'd make again in a heartbeat. The waves rolled in and out, constant and reliable, like the justice that eventually comes to those who wait and plan carefully. Emma and Maria had learned that actions have consequences, that lies eventually catch up with you, and that family means nothing when it's built on greed. They'd gambled everything on my weakness and lost. I'd built everything on their underestimation and won. The game was over. The score was final, and I was the only one still standing on solid ground. Isabella took my hand as we walked back toward the beach house. Two successful people who'd found each other through honesty rather than desperation. The contrast wasn't lost on me. Real love, real partnership, real respect. All the things my original family had never offered but had expected in return. The sunset painted everything golden, including the future. I was building one careful choice at a time. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities, new challenges, new chances to prove that character matters more than convenience. And somewhere in Miami, in a tiny apartment with secondhand furniture, two women were learning that the man they discarded like trash had become everything they'd never imagined. The student had become the teacher, the victim had become the victor, and the failure had become more successful than they'd ever dreamed. The $10 they'd given me had grown into millions, but more importantly, it had taught me the most valuable lesson of all. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's becoming so successful that your enemy's worst nightmares can't compete with your reality. Today, I understood my true value had nothing to do with their opinions and everything to do with my character. If you enjoyed the story of justice and transformation, please like this video, subscribe to Nasty Revenge, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means everything to us. To watch our next incredible revenge story, click on the box that appears on your screen. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the best revenge is simply becoming unstoppable.